Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Joe Thunder back once again with another episode of the Smoking Joe Thunder podcast. Shout out to our official sponsor, Be Good Dispensaries, over there on 11 West Hamden and on 120th off the highway across from Boondocks. And we got another special show for you today, man. We got a beast in the house. I don't even know where I start, man. Graffiti writer, graffiti bomber, dope graphic artist, tattoo artist. The list fucking goes on and fucking on and on. We got Big Tusk One in the building.
What up?
EMF, TKO. How's it going, brother?
26R, L4WO. It's going good, man.
Chilling, huh? You all dressed in red today, bro. I ain't ever seen you dressed in red. You gangbanging today or what?
Hell fucking no.
You live in the north. I'm not going to say where you live, but, I mean, have they initiated you in yet or what?
Oh, hell no.
For real, because you got a red hat, red hoodie. I mean, if you had some red shoes, man, you might be gang affiliated, homie.
It is one of my favorite colors.
For real? I never knew that. I mean, not that I'm supposed to know, but I would have never guessed. If they'd have said, what is fucking Tusk's favorite color, I would have never guessed red is being Tusk's favorite color.
It's more like my second. Orange is my first.
All right. Hell yeah. Well, shit, man, this is your first time here, man. Like, kind of let them know, like, a little bit about you, how you kind of made your way from Denver. I know you're from Portland, right, originally?
Yeah, I was born in Portland, Oregon, and that's where I'm from originally, but I moved back and forth from there and here, like, most of my life, so kind of.
Were you going back and forth, or?
Yeah, I'd go out there and see my family, my friends, and I would just stick out there, for a while, paint, hang out, just do whatever. And then I had friends out here because of, I met a bunch of fools and I repped SK back in the day, so I kind of bounced back and forth with my friends out here and crew out here and back home and my family shit and my friends out there.
And you had family out here, right?
Yeah.
So you were kind of getting that West Coast, influence as well as that Mile High City influence, right?
Yeah, probably more specifically like the Northwest.
Right.
There's a difference, but
my bad.
No, but it's heavily influenced by obviously the West Coast, LA graffiti. That style's pretty much everywhere, especially when you're from the West Coast. But yeah, you get up north and it's a little darker, more rain and shit.
More
so
rain.
just kind
more
of
gloomy.
More of a got the hipster vibe, like a lot of activists and shit. Portland's crazy. A lot of people talk shit about it, but I love that city. Right. It's pretty crazy.
Hey, when did you kind of like first get into hip hop? Was it graffiti or was it the music or was it dancing or were you trying to make, trying to DJ? How did that happen?
So hip hop, I always kind of fucking listened to it because, my brother gangbanged and I was around that shit. But I was into skateboarding and that kind of got me into more like underground hip hop and
I definitely
into
see that from you because you've put me onto some groups that I've never would have probably come across, like Greaves.
Yeah,
and that's just pretty hard. I didn't even know he's from Fort Collins. You know what I mean? You put me on.
Well, he lived there. He's from the Northwest too. Yeah, I think. But yeah, and he tags too. I think because I've seen some of his stuff in Seattle when I go up there. So.
Mm-hmm. So you said you started listening to the music first through your brother.
Yeah, I mean, if you really took it back, to like graffiti wise, instead of just hip hop or those things, it's like, around gang graffiti, and I always thought like tagging was cool and shit. So that kind of pulled me into like hip hop itself.
Right.
I was kind of into graffiti before I knew it was an element of hip hop. It was like just seeing my brother's friends and them do like gang tags and shit, which I still think are fresh if they're done right, but. Yeah,
no,
that's
for real. Like the gang graffiti is like the shit. That LA gang graffiti is the fuck cholo shit is the shit.
Everywhere has their little styles with that stuff, but yeah.
That's kind of the first thing you started seeing, or what?
Yeah, that's the first thing that influenced me as far as graffiti wise. I probably was into graffiti before I was fully into hip hop. I think,
Right. And did you start off like picking up hand styles from like the gang graffiti?
Yeah, I was just trying to bite what they were doing. I was writing some stupid shit,
Do you remember what you wrote first? Your first name or what?
Yeah, it was Ioki or Ioke. Yeah.
Okay. And how'd you come up with that name, Ioki?
I just liked the letters, It's just the way it was shaped. I don't know. I just liked it. It's not even a word, so.
How old were you when you caught like your first couple tags? Do you remember? Were you real young?
Yeah, I mean, I was like 9 or 10. But when I first started like getting tags with like tips and like kind of understand what it was, it was probably between 12 and 13.
Okay. And how did you kind of like start like taking it serious or kind of like stepping your game up?
I actually I had a bunch of friends that kind of did graffiti, but my buddy Lust from Denver, I met him skateboarding with some of my friends, and I seen him getting tags, and he has like, still to this day, probably one of my favorite hand styles because he was doing it way before everyone was doing it. But now you see his shit, and you're like, oh, people do that. But like he was like,
now it's the norm. Back then it was like,
yeah,
that's just tight.
but a weird kind of calligraphy, choppy, hand style. But like I seen what he was doing, and he just had cool tags, and he was putting them in cool spots. Like still to this day, if I had to like pick any of the aspects of graffiti, piecing, bombing, whatever, it would be tagging, just straight up
Tagging
tags.
your numero uno?
That's just my favorite shit. Like,
explain that. Why?
It's meditative, and really when you like, if you're like really like a cutty person, I don't give a fuck if you suck at tagging, you have a good tag, whatever. But if you do a lot of tagging and you try to get like all city spots, or whatever, and you get into the cutty shit, you start developing appreciation for your city. You see all the crevices and you see all the dirty shit. You just see crazy shit. It's just a crazy experience when you're really heavily into it and you like do a lot of it. It's interesting,
right. What do you, when like someone tells you like when you're painting, because you do pieces too.
Yeah.
And I know people have come up to you and said this before. It's a classic phrase, but when they come up to you and said, "I love your murals and I love your pieces, but I hate that damn tagging."
Shit. Yeah,
and they don't understand what's really going on. Can you explain that to them, like the essence and like without the tag?
Yeah, there's some graffiti documentaries, quote unquote, that talk about it, but I don't know. It's like you wouldn't have anything if you didn't have the tag first.
Exactly.
Period. Like that's why even some people in our crew, they're not like all about tags, but I always promote it. Everyone's like, oh, freeway spots, rooftops, fucking paint, which is dope.
You gotta have everything if you're about it.
Yeah, I look at it like your toss-ups, your pieces, whatever, your legal bullshit is like the power pellets when you play Pac-Man, and your tags are like the small pellets. It's like
so you got
holds everything together.
It's like the glue.
And I always say too, how well do you know your city if you don't ever get a lot of tags in your city, or like king your city in that aspect of just tagging, because it's so much more than a lot of people think. And of course it takes more skill probably to paint a big ass wall and do pieces and shit, but I have an okay tag, and I'm fucking old as fuck, and I've been doing it for a while, and I still barely have a few that I'm comfortable with, but I like my pieces usually. And it's not, I don't know, there's just a lot to tags. Like people that tag, they know what I'm talking about. It's just, there's something about it. It's like that exploratory thing. It's like venturing and shit,
Right.
It's crazy.
I hate doing this, but who are some of the cats in the town over like the years that are good with the tags, that, you know what I mean, that kind of are on that level?
Fuck, people are going to hate me for some of this shit because I'm not going to say everybody. There's not that many for me, but
right.
I hate to admit it, but that fucking dude Goo gave me like, made me pay attention to my hand styles. We might not be cool anymore. All our shit's squashed or whatever, but we don't have a lot of love for each other. But I have to say, he helped me get my tag game on point, because I was always like artsy fartsy and doing weird shit, stencils. Right. But him, he still does shit. You gotta fucking, I don't know, like nobody likes that fool, but you gotta recognize when it's still around, and is what it is. I definitely give it up to Voice. He like sometimes when I first started like really getting up heavily, like I couldn't believe some of the places this fool had tags. It was just like.
And can you give like a couple examples?
I don't know. So like, I don't know. Would you give props to like a writer for it? Someone that like tags a lot, like, is their tag placement.
Right. So kind of like some.
It was in every city, everywhere you go, in the weirdest spot. You like down low on a pole or a little cutty inside, like in between two signs, weird spots to get tagged. So that
weirdo spots.
Like the other, hate
writers,
to say it, but taggers or writers
will
see, and the common person or the lame won't know. You be walking around, you'll catch that shit inside your eye, or you hopped up on a dumpster, put your bike up against the sign, and just fucking risk busting your ass just for a fucking little tag, but in the weirdest spot. And those things run for fucking, I've seen tags of mine that are fucking 18, 19 years old just recently. Same with Voice and shit like that. I know that dude Dime back in the day too. He had really cool tags and tag placement. I know he still does shit out there, but he was one of them I thought was tight. The homie Quote always had a trippy little hand style, and he used to get a lot of tags and then shit. So
And real quick, we can't leave out Fever.
oh yeah,
R.I.P.
yeah. Fever's hand styles like that kid. Fuck. He didn't even get started, bro.
He's ahead of his time. He was like,
He was just like waiting for his time, I think, or something. He was so hard on himself. He wouldn't like.
was he his biggest critic?
Yeah, for sure. Fuck yeah.
Did he think like his shit wasn't like on that level? Where
He used to always say it was all right.
Yeah,
That's what he
all right.
said. Yeah, it's all right. Or he would say like, one time he was talking to me, and he was like, "Dude, I really want to paint with you and Shu, but I'm not on your guys' level." I'm like, "Well, you are, man. You just gotta paint with people like that, like us or whoever. You know, someone that's in your eyes better than you. Learn from it. You know." But yeah, he never fully started, and I met Fever when he was, I want to say 11. He got put in his first graffiti crew was SK. He got put in NORAD's mom's backyard in like a SK party.
And how old was he?
He's
young.
like 11,
Right.
dude. He was like
kinda heard the
my
story a
son's
little bit,
age,
yeah.
dude. Like,
You guys put him down in the crew?
yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, he was about it. He just came in the backyard and he's like, "What's up, guys?" You know, that shit. But yeah, man, he has. I could imagine the hand styles he had that no one's seen. You know.
Right.
It's that fucking alcohol. Those fucking poisonous bitches, man. They'll fucking hold the motherfucker back. But yeah, he has some cool ass hand styles. Homie Trek has some cool hand styles too. He
His
needs
tag
to.
kind of looks like yours.
Yeah, he admits it. He was influenced by me. You know, we all have our influences for sure. You know, but he still got good hand styles. He just needs to do it more there, buddy.
Hey, well, I know you were big time in graffiti, but honestly, like to me, it sounds like you were just big time in hip hop because you did a little
All the
rapping,
elements, everything.
even breakdance. Huh?
Yeah, yep. I was just hanging out that Who's Shining show and watching those fools break. I'm like, damn, I used to be all right at that, but not at my age no more, no. But yeah, I was in all the elements. Like,
You break a hip or something like me.
oh,
I can't-
dude, it's a
I can
risk.
pop lock. That's about it. I can't hit the floor or nothing.
That's take a risk dancing, not break dancing, because I will break something. But yeah, I was always into like, yeah, I got heavily into hip hop like fast, and I started understanding what it was, and I was figuring like, if you're gonna be into it, you know, you got to do at least. I don't know. It's easy to get good at one element. You know, you could fucking. Yeah, that's easy shit. You can get really good at that if you're dedicated and you focus and you understand your history and you know how to learn and shit. But getting good or at least decent at every element, I think is, you know, that was my goal. I thought that shit was like tight. And you just always on, you know, it's like your force fields, you know, like battle ready and shit, you know?
You're ready to go.
Yep.
Now it's different, right?
Yeah, I
People
mean,
don't know about the history. People don't really put in the work. IG's kind of,
you know what trips me out about that is people won't know their history, but they're fucking super talented. They have the, especially, I'm going to say specifically in graffiti, people will have the talent and the skill set and all the bells and whistles, good letter structure, effects, all that shit, but then they don't know their history or they don't do illegal graffiti. I feel like, I don't know, people get pissed when you say this, but even if you have the best hand style, the best piecing style, best everything, you're good at all your shit, but then you don't do illegal shit, I'm just kind of like, you do artwork, you know, and you kind of do.
You're an artist.
Yeah. And
Like,
you
keep
do
it
it
real.
in the urban style or graffiti
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
style. There's
but
not
you're
at all.
You're an artist.
But yeah, the history thing is what bothers me, you know.
Explain to them what like a real graffiti writer is. You touched it a little bit, but tell them what a real graffiti writer is.
Like a real, like just one that's on point or just with the, like everything or just like tagging. Like for me, a real writer is someone that does illegal shit. But the thing is for me is, it doesn't even matter how much you do as long as you stay consistent. Like there's a lot of people that get really good at graffiti. They fucking shine. They kill it. But then they fall off. They got like these 3-4 year careers.
Right.
And I get it. They're going to go off to their graphic design shit and whatever, their music shit, whatever they do. But for me, a real graffiti art is someone that's constantly evolving, even if it's like baby steps, and someone that's persistent and continues to do it, you know, as they exist. You don't just do it for like a couple summers or some shit, you know? Like if I'm in my late 40s and I still go on mile-long walk missions just to get tags, you know, whenever I can afford it, I'll go out of state. I'm always down to paint and do shit, you know? It's just like a real writer is someone that's passionate about it and is persistent with it and consistent with it in some forms. Like you can fall off and come back, but as long as you're
consistent and put in a little bit of work.
Yeah, as long as you just
keeping it out there.
Yep. And I think the illegal part of it, you know, it's kind of the definition of what graffiti is.
I think that's the main thing, just getting up in the streets. That's graffiti.
Yep. Simply put, that's straight up graffiti.
And then like you were kind of adding on to that, like what's a top-notch graffiti writer, like the best? Say the best of the best. I mean,
I think if someone's like top of their game,
if you're a king, what is a king?
A king is someone, like I said, is persistent, that they have everything, you know. You can.
That's what I'm getting at right there.
You
they got hand
you don't have the
styles.
best hand style. Say you have a good hand style. You can piece. You can do bubbles. You can do straight letters, throwies.
You do a roller.
And the more important thing is too is like, and I'll even admit it, it's hard for me sometimes to stay humble or not exert an ego and shit, but it's important to fucking like notice it and like remember who your influences are and all that shit. Like again, back to your history. So like, and it's like someone that,
homage.
you know, I hate doing that just because, but like I'll say right now, the people that fucking have been pushing me, like I finally met that full tumor, and like that motherfucker's just like in your face, honest, bro. Like you just half the time, no filter. But you know, I'm older. I'm like that fool's age, and the way his mentality was, I was just like, all right, kind of made me think a little bit differently about graffiti, and and it's very rare that you meet people like that. You know, Shoe's one of them. Like that motherfucker, I remember when he was little, and then he's just like good at everything, bro, and he does it fast, effortlessly, and shit like that.
It's nothing.
Yeah, and I'm a artsy motherfucker, and I got a lot of skill set, but sometimes that fool just does shit so effortlessly. I'm just like, whoa, all right, maybe I should put in more work or something. Because, I mean, some people are more naturally talented than others, especially when it comes to art. But that fool's just naturally fucking talented. Like, pretty much probably be good at whatever he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. My influences is definitely Shoe right now. He's a huge influence in like far as style goes, because that fucker just pulls anything out of his ass all the time, and it's not just like all right. It's like the first time he did it and it's good. It's like he's like fuck you, dude. Like Jesus Christ. But no, he's one of my main influences right now, because, which is weird because it kind of switches, because I remember when he was younger and I was kind of putting him on a little bit, and then that's another thing that's tight about like graffiti too, or even hip hop, is you'll turn somebody on to some shit and then they'll get better than you, and then you're learning from them. Like to me, that's like that's like the holy grail of shit.
That's kind of like real G shit though, man, because I kind of go by the same philosophy. I don't care if you're 18, 22, 30, whatever. You could be younger than me and I could definitely learn something from you.
See, and I'm one of those people that, all the ego bullshit aside, I want to be around people that I'm going to learn some shit from.
Inspire.
Like straight up, like if we could be homies and good friends, but I'm not going to look up to your ass if you're not teaching me some shit and helping me grow, you know? Like a lot of people think that's conceited or fucking self-centered or whatever, but it's like, for me, that's your life, my life. I like to learn shit. I love information. I like challenges, you know? And that's one thing that's dope about graffiti, dude. Like, I know people say it, but a lot of people that do art, they just sit in the fucking room, which I have a studio, and I love just sitting in my room getting all fucked up on edibles broad day, building my models and painting and making shit. But the whole, like, it's kind of hard to explain, like, when you do graffiti, the elements can change, dude. It's just everything in a split second. It could be different, and it's illegal. You
never know. You could premeditate. What's gonna go down?
Yeah, you could premeditate everything, sketch it, plan it.
Everything could go left as soon as you get
there. Yeah, and you know, and then it becomes about the execution. You know, like a good example of that shit that gets kind of crazy is like definitely not to keep bringing up Shoe, but we go bombing and like we're walking up to a spot we know is just fucking stupid. Like, dude, this is like like a high risk spot, right?
Hot boy shit.
Yeah, and he'll be like, I don't know, man. I'm like, nah, you stop. You're being a pussy, dude. Everything's cool. And then he's like, all right, yeah, you're right. And then I'll get scared, just get all nervous. He's like, dude, you're just fucking, nah, you're cool. So anyways, no matter what, once we get out and walk towards the spot, like it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it almost seems like regardless of the risk, it's just going to happen.
It's just going
you know
down.
what I mean? And dude, that's a whole beauty inside itself, man. Like you're the only person in that spot in that time, and you just kind of shift through it, and you know, like hydroplane through it, and then you get away with it. Just all based on like balls and a little bit of fucking like knowledge and skill set, but mostly like doing crazy shit with graffiti is just having balls, you know.
Just doing it, stepping up to the mic,
Some
not thinking about it really.
Yeah, you got to think about it, but when it happens, sometimes you don't just think about it. You just kind of just let it happen, but you got to stay focused and shit. But yeah, like that's the thing, dude. Graffiti, it's the thing that's, I could honestly say I'm addicted to it, and it's this thing that stuck with me most with my whole since I started doing it. It's just something I know never go away. You know, that's what you were talking about. That's what a real writer is to me. Not to say I'm a real writer, but someone that's that passionate about it. Where
it's like your life.
Yeah, it's like woven. You're like, it's woven in my shit. You know what I mean?
It's part of your DNA.
Yep. As far as the graffiti, or I mean, just hip hop, graffiti is definitely my favorite element. You know.
Hell yeah. Hey, for all the new jacks, real quick, we never really did this, but let's break down these graffiti rules because a lot of these fools don't even know them.
What are they now?
Right? But I mean, you know, traditionally, I'm going to let you explain it because you're the expert.
Oh, fuck, dude. I don't know. It's weird now, but usually you don't go over someone unless in your mind you feel like you're better than them. Right. You know what I mean?
That's like
on a legal wall.
That kind of pertaining to like pieces. Like if you can't burn the person that's already there, you really shouldn't be going over them.
Dude, and I'll say this right now. There's some motherfuckers I see going over people's tags with fucking filling toss-ups, and those tags are like fucking
sick,
decades ahead of their game, you know. And like, you know, traditionally you'd say, you know, like the whole tag and then toss-up over a tag, burner, which you can argue if this is even the right term, but a burner over a toss-up, and then a piece over a burner, you know. But then when it gets to that point, it's like, you know, that's where like a lot of the ego shit kicks in.
Right.
But that's for me, is like, even if your shit's not the greatest and you've been around for painting for 30 years, 25 years, if it's freight painting, bombing, I don't give a fuck. If you got a tag that's been riding for 10, 15 years or something like that, stupid, or 8 years, and then you see these fuckers go over it with like toss-ups and shit, you know, that shit kind of pisses me off, but that's not the rules, but that's one of the rules I feel like should be necessary. But and it's graffiti though, so you know, I mean, I ain't gonna say I haven't gone over someone I probably shouldn't have, but
that's like the LA steez.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you went to LA and you went to Mexico, and we'll get in that in a minute. But like in LA, it just kind of seems like sometimes, like when you're with the homies, like they give you the green light to kind of go over someone. To just
I didn't really bomb out there this time. Like we got one spot that was fucking shit was crazy, but I pretty much washed out for Shoe because his TKO letters were way better than mine. And sometimes bombing's about business. It's about business, and you're putting the crew up, you know.
Right.
If you're better than me at a certain thing, you're going to do it. You know, that's part of being a crew. So, yeah, we did some shit out there. It was pretty crazy. But we didn't bomb LA a lot, though. So, but yeah, the bigger the city, the more problems for fucking opportunities for problems and drama and shit because, yeah, egos and shit.
Hey, how long did you say you've been doing graffiti?
Technically, like
20, 30 years?
Since, like, I don't know why, but I say, like, since I knew what tips were and, like, you know, different tips for paint, whatever, like fat caps, dent tips, all that shit. But since I kind of started understanding what it was and, like, the tools was probably, like, 89 or 90, 1990, you know? So I guess I don't know what the math is on that. That's a fucking
He's on high off edibles.
I'm straight up am. But yeah, it's been a while, you know. I would like to say 89 just because I'll be like, oh, I was fucking getting it in the 80s, but probably 90, you know.
Okay, so around 30 years, shit.
Yeah, it's been you know, I had my hiatus too where I stopped.
Right.
Just like tattooing, fucking, I've done that, and I get fucking sick of it because you don't develop a certain amount and it's fucking hard as fuck, you know. So you got to take your breaks and shit, you know.
Well, you've been doing graffiti for a long time, and a lot of illegal graffiti. And I know you have some crazy stories.
Oh shit.
One of the ones I do want to tell is like I'm just gonna talking about like getting released from jail and not making it out, and then getting rearrested. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I could tell that fucking story. It's funny too. Like I got arrested for some, you know, just like doing tags actually with my boy Ayola. But yeah, I got arrested for that shit and I got out like 2 days later, and when I was getting out, I went into the building across the street to talk to Detective Ryball, you know, and that guy was around. If you guys know your shit, you know that fucking dude. But they have this little display case in the side of the detective side of the building where the police station is and shit. And they had all these old, like, if you've been in there, you know, there's like these brass knuckles and knives and shit, but they're like from old gangsters in Denver, like from the 40s and 50s and maybe even before. But they cleaned it and they left it unlocked. The guy was walking away, so I snatched these fucking brass knuckles out of there. They're like some mobsters' brass knuckles. I don't know the whole history on it, but yeah, they fucking saw me and they fucking swooped on me when I was walking out and arrested me.
So you got out of jail, walked
graffiti.
across the street to talk to the...
Not even across the street, across the...
hallway?
Yeah, pretty much. Building to building. Yeah.
How much time did you spend in jail for the...
They gave me a theft charge, and I got out like the next... I think it was like a day and a half when I saw the judge. They let me back out.
That's crazy.
And then I was on probation for the graffiti shit for like a year. But that's when they used to freak the fuck out and try to give you fucking a felony every fucking time.
For graffiti, huh?
For each tag. They'd try to string you together because, you know, they fucking, you know, that's how they did it. And they'd try to get you with 10, 15 fucking charges. And they'd say it was $400+ to clean off a
all that shit
Westward box, you know, which is bullshit. We all know it. But the main thing is that when that happens, you just don't tell on yourself, and then you sit in jail if you have to. You can't get bonded out, and they got to prove it. And most of the time, I got my charges dropped. Like, I think I've been arrested for graffiti 80 or 90 times. And I have 2 graffiti charges. Well, 3. I have a warrant for graffiti in fucking New Mexico. But, yeah, so I've only been arrested and charged with graffiti for like 3 times out of those 90 arrests or so.
Have you ever had any crazy situations with the cops where they're just acting nuts or just being dickheads? Like you said,
yeah, I've been beat up by the fucking Denver police. Fuck, dude, I don't even know how many times.
For real?
Yeah, I have had really had my ass beat a couple times, but you know, where they fuck with you and they'll like, you know, rough you up, slam you around and shit, throw you back in your car, and drive you around, fuck with you, and then fucking let you go, or they'll just beat your ass, you know, and you're handcuffed. I had one time I got zip tied by those fools behind my arms, and they let me go, and they left the zip tie on my fucking...
Where'd they drop you off at?
They didn't even arrest me.
That's what I'm saying. Did they kind of just drop you off?
No, they didn't even put me in the car. They just like flexi cuffed me.
Yeah.
And like kind of fucked me up a little bit, and then they left me like right by the Capitol, in the first alley going east of the Capitol right there.
And what did you do?
They saw me tagging.
No, but I'm saying, once they let you go, like, how did you get the cuffs off? Did you like what? Did you just go home, or did you like?
Yeah,
Did you try to like fucking try to holler at someone? I mean, you're like a handcuff.
So I was living on 9th and Sherman, and I just.
So you're close.
Yeah, walked home, and my fucking chick tried to cut them off with scissors, and you couldn't cut with scissors. So we had to use like a steak knife and shit. It took a minute too, dude, to cut through those fucking zip ties. They were so.
Did you cross anyone that looked at you hella weird because you're all kind of handcuffed? I mean, honestly.
I don't remember. It was dark. I was just kind of embarrassed going back to my house. Like when I got in my building, yeah, there's like people in the elevator and fucking other people because, you know, it's a big ass. It was a Sherman Towers. It's like the Mezzio now or something.
Right.
Fuck.
Looking at you hella weird.
Yeah, that shit was fucked up. But yeah, they just slammed me around, took my shoes, flexi cuffed me, and then let me go.
And they took your shoes.
Took my shoes.
What kind of shoes did you? I'm just curious. Like
probably shell toes back then, knowing me, or Pumas or something. Fucking hip hop.
That's the worst. To take your shoes.
Yeah, dude, and I had to walk home and that shit, and it was like early winter and shit, so it was like slushy. And this is back when it fucking still snowed in Colorado, you know.
Right.
But you know, it's better than going to fucking jail, especially back
True that.
then, because you know you go in there for graffiti, they're gonna slap you with 2 felonies and then like some misdemeanor criminal mischief shit, which usually you end up getting if you fucking admit to shit and you know. But yeah, there's all kinds of shit like that, dude. Or you just see fucked up shit when you're out at certain times, you know.
Have you seen, being a graffiti writer, like you said, you are out all nights of the all hours of the night. What kind of crazy stuff do you see like at night, just kind of roaming the streets or on a rooftop, like, you know what I mean?
Oh shit, dude! You'll be like, I don't know. Main thing is walking down alleys. I had to say in Denver, because where I'm from, there's no alleys in Portland. Like there are, but they're far and few between. Like
Right.
they're not systematic like they're in Denver, which you know dumpsters are dope to tag on. But no, you see shit. You know, like there's like basement apartments and fools have their windows open. You know, you'll see people like boning and shit,
Nice.
or like I've seen fools like shooting up drugs, snorting drugs.
Have you ever seen homeless sex? I know,
Yes,
as
probably.
a Saber that talks about that, he's like,
Yeah.
I've seen so much homeless sex you would not believe it.
Shit,
Like,
that's one thing that every writer probably sees, especially if you tag a lot.
yeah.
You see some yeah, dude. I can think of one right behind what is it, Squire on fucking Colfax. I seen
I know
some
what you're talking
nasty
about.
shit. I seen like a homeless dude taking a shit or piss or I think both. And one of my friends, this dude, my homie Sire, is like Science Now, old SK dude and a good friend of mine still, but he's seen the people fucking, and I seen the dude taking a shit, and then we told each other, and then we both seen him, you know, and it was just nasty, and it was like really close to each other. It's like, yeah, you just see fucked up shit, dude. You see a lot of fucked up violence. You see car accidents.
Right. Have you ever
Yes.
had to like fucking? Because I've heard a couple stories from the homies where, literally, like the cops are on them and like having to duck in the homeless camp or with homeless people or you know what I mean?
Dude, the worst thing is, for me, is I fucking hit in one of those grease traps once. One of those grease dumpsters, those little mini things they pour all the
Shut
grease
the
in there.
fuck up, dog.
I've never smelled something
Shut the
so
fuck-
fat. I got away though.
A grease dump was. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't full, but I'm sure there
Oh,
was.
it was pretty fucking full. And it was when they had the bigger ones.
So like
now
when
they're
you
like
say
smaller.
full, like I mean, are your feet?
Okay, I was standing in it.
Right. So, but are your feet submerged?
Yeah, because you have to duck down. So I was essentially like, either you could go on your knees, I guess, or I was like
Oh
kind of
my-
crouched down like you're shitting outside.
Uh-huh.
So the grease was like almost to my neck.
Shut the fuck
Yeah.
up, bro.
But it worked, dude. I got away, and it was like I was fucked. And it was
Oh my god.
I could fucking where was that at? It was off Colfax too, and it was I don't remember their fucking restaurant, but yeah, they were looking everywhere. And I probably think they just were like they were
Not
standing
yet.
out there right by me talking. It's like I don't know where he went. I think you might have went up there. And this and that. I thought I went on the roof, or they were looking for me for a minute.
They weren't giving up.
And bro, I puked like twice in there. Like I have never. So it wasn't that bad when you open it. Once you get in there and you crack that like thick top layer of grease and you're standing in
Right.
the other shit, it
I
just
can't believe
smells
this
like
shit,
death,
dog. Like,
dude.
For real. Like that has to be one of the most disgusting.
Yeah, it was pretty foul.
Someone told me a story not too long ago. Actually, I want to say they were in Portland, and you know the homelessness up there is crazy, crazy.
It was when I lived there, and my friends that I know out there now say it's fucking way crazy.
But they were talking about doing some graffiti, and like you really couldn't see, and they fucking basically stepped in a shit pool, piss pool, and fucking fell in that shit.
Dude, I stepped in fucking human shit twice painting it crush. And they fuckers shit like in the alleys. Not to be vulgar about it and keep talking about shit, but yeah, like one of the EMF walls, I stepped in shit at the same spot 2 times in 2 different years because people like lean up against that pole and take a shit. It's fucking nasty. At least it wasn't like barefoot where it goes through your toes.
That would
I had
be
shoes on.
fucking disgusting. Well, I mean, if you're doing graffiti in fucking sandals or fucking
Yeah,
Crocs,
fuck.
then
Who knows in Denver? Shit.
right?
Fucking hula hooping and getting tags on these motherfuckers.
Dang, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But you get used to that shit, man. It's like it almost doesn't like matter anymore. The weird shit you see and shit happens to you.
Tell about a couple spots that you kind of hit that you like over the years that kind of, you know what I mean, that were top notch, those top notch spots that you're kind of talking about.
Man, graffiti now, it's fuck, you can pretty much paint anything and get away with it. It almost seems. So I'd have to go back to like some old shit, like on right by my old apartment down there on what is that, Ninth and Broadway. There was this walkway when they were building that big ass brown apartment building that's right there now.
Kind of by the hospital.
Ninth and Sherman, kind of by the Gart Sports, Gart
Gotcha.
Brothers when it was there
I know
back
what
in
you're
the day.
talking
So
about.
that big ass one there was like a covered walkway they built for the construction, and I painted like a piece on that shit, all illegal. And that's back when this COVID bombing shit didn't exist, and people just kind of accepted graffiti. Like motherfuckers see you, they'll call the cops, follow you, you know. So probably that in Denver. And I used to get, I used to paint billboards too when I could climb and I wasn't an old piece of shit. So a lot of, I don't know, I like painting billboards on Colfax. Even though I sucked back then, it's just more the mission. But I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question, to tell you the truth. It's more, for me, it's more about who I'm with and the experience than the spot, go to say. You
Right.
know? Even though spot, it matters. But yeah, it's always been more for the experience for me than like what spots I like better. I could probably tell you better stories about if I thought about that, but I don't know.
Denver's kind of like went through its phases with graffiti. Like it kind of hit hard for a minute, then it kind of went away and kind of came back. And I want to say kind of one of the big things of that is probably the legalization of weed. Us being the first people and just a lot of people really moving here. Don't you think? Like it kind of brought a lot of people to the city and kind of. Do you want to say like maybe rekindled it a little bit?
I'd say Crush as a event and legalization, and being one of the first state to legalize it in the United States, right?
Yeah, we're the first.
Yeah, so you bring more people, and the cost of living's high out here too. So then you got, it becomes like a destination for artists, street artists, graffiti artists, because, you want to go to places that are cracking and you're going to get the most recognition, because that's all graffiti is like,
It's like a like.
Self-loathing shit so you can fucking be noticed, that's what it is, But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the weed industry brought more mural painters and street artists and graffiti artists here.
That makes
So
sense.
I think, I don't know, that's a tricky one, because there was like phases where people were doing like innovative shit, new shit, but that's kind of that purity graffiti. It was like that everywhere,
Right.
because it was still kind of not new, but it was starting to fucking blow up. You can look at it like skateboarding, where it was like no one fucking did it.
I can say that before the crush, like graffiti was like not really kind of accepted, and after kind of the years and years, it kind of got more accepted. And like you said, the murals kind of, came in and shit like that.
And I'm on this side of it. Like, I don't know, I'm just gonna say it, but a lot of people are like, oh, fuck Bansky, fuck this street art shit. But I came from a place where both of those were okay, and they were like these dudes. If you're old school from Portland, I bet you can still look them up. I don't know what they're doing now, but there's these dudes, and I know they're writers, and I can't tell you who they were because I don't remember. But they had a crew called Art Effects, and they're doing these big ass, large scale murals, but they're doing it for like Toyota and like little realistic spray painted shit of like car ads and stuff, and doing all this crazy shit. So like I was influenced by that and like graffiti. So coming out here, I was already into like street art,
Right.
tagging, doing stencils, wheat paste and shit. And in that point in time in graffiti, they were like, it's kind of like shunned on, It's like, oh, you're a fucking toy, you're fucking doing street art, you're doing stencils, you're doing wheat paste. Like that wasn't accepted like anywhere really at first, and still to this day. But I don't know.
My thing is like it's a different avenue. So you have graffiti, right? And then say you have stencils. That's another avenue. And then say you have wheat paste. That's another avenue. Then you have stickers. And then maybe you have like cutouts, or you know what I mean? Like to me, like the more stuff in the bag, you know what I mean? Where they all tie it, when they finally start tying it all together, be like, oh, that's him doing all that? Like,
Yeah, and I was that guy, and it's still this day, I wrote names and done shit that people will give me props on or give props to, and then say like, oh, fuck Tusk, he's a fucking toy,
Right.
But that's that shit you just live with and you don't tell people about. But that's that side of it, I like I like street art. I like seeing motherfuckers paint shit 20 stories high, and I don't give a fuck if you projected it. You know, I don't give a fuck as long as it looks dope. And I'm into that shit. I want to do that kind of shit, and I'm still do graffiti.
Right.
But
So you are a graffiti artist and you are a street artist.
I would like to do more street art. I do more graffiti and street art, and I want
What's
to.
weird is like the street art rides a little more.
Yeah, because usually that street art, these motherfuckers are getting paid to do the street art, you know, and that's a whole different part of it too, you know.
So let me ask you a question. Being that you do both, like, does a street rider have the authority or the right to talk shit or discredit graffiti writers?
Well, I was gonna
So,
just
like,
make this straight
let
right
me
now.
give-
I'm a writer.
Right,
I'm a graffiti. Okay,
Right.
go ahead.
Let me give you like kind of an example. Say you're a muralist. And say, I don't know, say someone disses your shit. And you get on the gram and you start talking, like you're a graffiti writer. You start using
Well-
certain terms and certain shit like that. Like, do you have, like, is it, you know what I mean? I don't want to say do you have the authority, but like, Like, because someone said in one of the prior podcasts, they're like, if you're a street artist or a muralist and someone goes over your shit, go over their shit.
Yeah, but I'll just say this right now. Most street artists, they're not
not
about
gonna-
that
yeah,
shit.
they're not
you know
about
what I
that
mean?
life.
So,
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
so being a graffiti artist first, I got into graffiti and then I found street art. And, I've always been more influenced by like Euro style graffiti than anything, or, West Coast graffiti too. But I don't know, like, if you're using fucking spray paint, okay, you're not, like, when you're a street artist, spray paint wasn't really like a thing. Like, graffiti artists made spray paint a thing, and then that's why companies like Montana and shit came out and made spray paint for graffiti artists, and that's what it was designed for originally. So a street artist going over a graffiti artist, I'm just gonna say good fucking luck. You better be ready for a barrage of shit because
right.
They're right graffiti.
And that's the kind of thing that I honestly think that they don't get as far as street artists. Like, graffiti as a whole is a full contact sport.
It is. And that's another thing where knowing your history comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You're using designer paint to paint some beautiful shit. I respect that, but
That's
if you're
cool.
gonna fucking compare it to graffiti, well, that's my first love. Then I'll be like, fuck street art, fuck you, and I hope you're ready for what comes along with fucking ignorant bullshit that graffiti writers will do to people like that. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't painted over some people that just do street art because fools of the crew want to fucking go over them because they don't give a fuck about street art. Mm-hmm. So that's where I kind of have a confusion because I like them both, but I'll fucking go over your street art with my graffiti, but I'd feel weird going over like graffiti with street art. Like right. Good graffiti with street art.
But I mean, if you put up some street art and someone dissed your shit, I guess the way I was kind of told is like, if you do street art and someone disses you, you get your shit back, but you don't battle, like you said, you don't battle a graffiti writer. You don't go out and start putting posters or stencils over their shit. You kind of try to maintain.
Well, you
your
just
shit.
look corny,
And if they go over you again and you meet them in the street, so then you fucking handle it. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like you said. It's kind of almost like, it is kind of toy or almost like useless to go after them. I think it would be more of a thing where like, hey, why the fuck you keep going over my shit and let's handle this shit? You know what I mean? Because it does sound kind of like a little.
See, that's confusing for me. I see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down to who has more fucking balls and gusto and fucking. If you're a street artist and you've only done street art and you think you're going to fucking hang with even a mediocre graffiti artist in the streets, you're fucking mistaken. Like, if it goes there, that'd just be weird, man. I don't know. Like,
I mean, they could be on that level. I mean, you could be up. That's the whole point of the name of the game, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you do street art, but you have a million fucking things writing, like, I mean, you can't take that away.
Nope. And then, again, your history comes in it. If a street artist is painting with spray paint, doing cool shit and respecting
the
rules, then that's cool. But
now one of the things that does kind of bug me, because I like doing street art too, but I hate when I see people doing wheat paste and they go over like graffiti, like for real. Like, that's a no-no.
yeah, if it's like bunch of fucking people dissing each other, a bunch of fucking stupid ass tags that suck. Fucking, it's just
Yeah,
a
that's
bunch
one
of
thing.
fucking.
But I mean, if it's like a throw, you don't put We Pace over a throw.
Oh,
I wouldn't even put it over a
no.
wall full of tags unless like a lot of that shit was crossed out. Maybe you know what I mean?
Yeah, that happens. I mean, that's kind of where knowing your history and knowing what you're doing comes
Right.
into play. Again, but that's their problem. I don't know. Fucking, yeah.
Nah, it's all good. Hey, talking about like graffiti though, like fucking beef and I don't want to say violence, but that is a big part of it, huh?
Yeah, it can be, and I'm weird about it, man. I mean, I'm not from like the fucking hardest areas and shit. I did grow up around gang shit, but if someone's gonna go over you and talk shit, eventually you're gonna have to fucking fight that motherfucker so you can squash it or something, But and it also depends on who it is. Like sometimes fucking when it comes to beef, like yeah, you could just duke it out, but not a lot of people are gonna respect that shit, And I'm old school, so I'd rather just fight your ass than fucking stab you or shoot you or do any of that dumb shit. But that's another thing. In different places in the world, different places in the country, that's different, Like LA graffiti, there's like I've noticed there's that tag banging element. It's because it came from those areas and shit. So that's just part of it. But when you're doing that shit out here, I don't know. If you're
It's like
only from
different.
Denver, I get gang banging, but I don't get the tag banging shit in Denver. That's just I don't know.
It's kind of just like a little out of place.
But then again, it is. But it's stupid. But at the same time, graffiti comes fucking out of the hood sometimes.
Right.
There's different like in Denver, it's weird. There's like Capitol Hill style writers, and then you got your like federal writers. In those two areas. So it's like, you're gonna get that tag banging aspect more from the federal side of the like writing community because they grew up around that shit. So I understand it on that point. You know what I mean? As long as they follow all those rules too. But I don't know. The violence is part of it, dude. Like I think if you're gonna write graffiti and you're not down to fight or get your ass beat or vice versa or whatever.
If you're not willing to catch the heads, you probably shouldn't do graffiti.
Yep.
Keeping it like real. You been in any big ass fights? Any fucking
Like graffiti related shit?
yeah.
I don't know if I really want to bring all that up, but yeah. That's just something I'm not going to talk about because it just piss fools off. And
Oh, is that like kind of like just like local shit or you know what I mean?
yeah, and there's like out of state shit too. Like both places I've lived, I've had some beef.
Have you ever been in just like a Royal Rumble? I've been in a Royal Rumble.
I've been in some bar fights, yeah. Yep.
In college,
The
man.
last real one I was in was with fucking the homie Chris at Owens Harbor Lights that I used to work for. I got crazy. We were fighting all these fools and breaking glasses over each other's heads and shit, but that wasn't graffiti related.
I was just having a crazy night.
Yeah, that was just like, yeah. I've been in a few of those. A lot of graffiti related shit though, for sure.
Yeah,
If it's security guards because they're trying to fucking act like they're the police and fucking trying to snatch you up and shit and handcuff you. I've beat up some security guards, More than once I've gotten fights with security guards. But yeah, there's a lot of that. I just don't really want to touch on it because people's fucking feelings are all.
I get it. Well, shit. Moving on a little bit, man. From graffiti, like it kind of got you into tattooing, right? Kind of opened that door for you. Talk about that. How you got into tattooing?
Shit, man. It's been like 22 years ago, probably 20 years ago. But the first place I apprenticed at tattooing and kind of got offered apprenticeship was at Legacy Tattoo in Portland. One of my buddies, Scott, he just kind of seen my artwork and he's like, dude, you'd be good at tattooing. So I fucked with it for a little bit. And I ended up moving to Denver. And then I was, just all my friends were getting tattooed at like Dark Millennia and shit. So I started hanging out over there and I met a lot of those dudes. And then it ended up turning into me apprenticing at Low Life Tattoo. And then after that, I kind of got out of the apprenticeship, and instead of like going and working at a shop, I was that dude that I just went and opened a shop. My first shop, and it was
never wrote that.
Praying Mantis Tattoo. I think I learned a lot of shit faster, but I think the smarter route would have been to like work for someone for a while.
Right.
But different strokes for different folks. But yeah, I was always around tattooing, like, that gang shit growing up with my fucking family, and then just seeing it was just interesting. And it was like probably the best fit for my style of art at the time. So I just kind of proceeded to get into it from there.
And that's what I was going to ask next. How would you describe your like tattoo style?
I don't even know what my tattoos, like, I could like go on for days about my like canvas style, my graffiti style, my illustrative style stuff, but with tattooing, I don't know if I even have a style, but I would say like, new school, like a hybrid tattooing, like new school, cartoony color work,
That's what I was going to say, cartoonish.
Yeah. I've always, like, I'm not knocking realism, but it's just not my thing. There's so many fucking rules, and I kind of like, when I draw, I'm like kind of like a storyteller. I like to create the character and its background and all the shit in my head. So naturally in tattooing, I just kind of went towards new school shit. It's because of what I liked,
right?
But
like the shit you're into, kind of. I mean, what kind of shit are you into? Like, I would say like I wouldn't say like
tattoo wise.
Yeah, I'm getting at like Transformers, like you're into the fucking.
Oh, I'm into some nerdy shit, dude, and like I'm like pop culture shit. Like, I grew up, I was a comic book enthusiast and nerd, but I was like that. I was into comic books, but I was down to fucking fight type shit, And even since I was younger, I like cartoons. I still watch cartoons and shit, man. And
let me ask you a quick question: were you ever into GI Joe, like as far as comic books, or no?
I was into G.I. Joe, but I know I wasn't into it as much as you were. But I did watch it, and I collected the toys.
That's kind of the thing right there. Is like within this last 4 months, I've been on the YouTube and just watching random shit, and there is so much shit that I didn't know that is in the comic book, and I'm like, how the fuck did I miss that shit? Like the whole.
Well, the comic book was after. So G.I. Joe, they made the. Oh fuck! Here's my nerd side shit, but like, the toys were made. The cartoons were made to sell the toys. So
right.
they had the toy pretty much first. They made the story. The cartoon came from it,
Yeah.
So that's like, and then the comic book. Comic book is after all of it too.
Was it? No, the comic book was first, wasn't it? I
No,
just watched this shit the other day.
The toy, the G.I. Joe's.
Well, the original toy. But
yeah.
I'm saying, I'm not talking about the fucking shit.
I might be wrong, but I'm
talking about
sure,
like the 80s shit.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I'm not talking about like the original, but I'm talking like the first Snake
I don't know.
Eyes and all that
Google
shit.
that shit, but I'm pretty sure.
I just watched it the other night too, but like one of the things that I never knew, and I just found out recently, and I'm a huge Snake Eyes Storm Shadow fan.
Who isn't, dude? If you don't like those two characters, dude, I had the Storm Shadow with the skis and the snows in Colorado.
I never knew Zartan disguised himself as Storm Shadow and killed the true master, and he's the one that killed him. And when Storm Shadow was running away, he got blamed for it. I never knew that.
I think they touched on that in the movie, the first G.I. Joe movie.
No,
right?
That's the Snake Eye, the third one, the one I haven't seen, the Snake Eye Storm Shadow one. That's probably what they cover everything.
You're supposed to go see me with that. That shit was. People are hating on that movie, but
I've still been searching, but I can't find it. Like, I mean, I think it's on the one that I don't. You know what I mean? The provider I don't have or don't want to pay for.
And G.I. Joe had some cool fucking villains, man. I hate to say it, like even when it comes to Star Wars and shit, I'm into the villains. I like everything about it, but I'm in the villains. And
who was your favorite villain then on G.I. Joe? Besides Storm Shadow.
Well, Storm Shadow is more of an anti-hero.
Well, that's the thing too. I never even
like
knew
a
that
Deadpool. He kind of played
exactly.
I
never knew he was down with the Joes, and then went back. He went back and forth.
He played to his advantages to succeed for his own personal gain, which is pretty dope. So he's more like a anti-villain, kind of like Deadpool or some shit like that. Like
who besides
a mercenary or something. Villains, Cobra Commander, dude. He's just tight.
Dope,
he was the fucking funny voice. Destro was cool too, but he didn't look as cool.
I like Firefly, especially in the movie. He's like that fucking British, just big, stocky, like I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean?
Fucking G.I. Joe. The favorite thing for me from G.I. Joe's was their toys, dude. Like, hands down, because they were like the first fucking toy company, in my opinion, to do like the character to vehicle ratio thing. In my opinion,
all the accessories,
all the shit.
Like
they had
Star
a remote
Wars
control
was tight.
car.
Star Wars was tight, but it didn't have the accessories.
Oh, they did though.
You know
like
what I mean?
G.I. Joe is a different thing, but Star Wars had a lot of shit. But yeah, they didn't have all the you know, like when you get GI Joes, you'd have a bunch of different guns and like backpacks
Like when
and
you get
shit.
Snake Eyes, you get a backpack, you get a sword, you get a machine gun, and a wolf.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For real, don't get much better than that.
I love those toys back in the day. My main shit was Ninja Turtles though. Still to this day, it's like my favorite shit. But I liked the packaging of the toys. You know when you go buy that shit and like they had like their little stat cards in the back and the artwork. And this way it was packaged. I'm still into that, and I'm like pursuing a toy company at the moment.
Right.
Taking forever, fucking financial shit, but I'll get there eventually. But I love the packaging, especially like 80s and early 90s shit. Like it was all about the commercial that sell you on it and all the marketing. And
What do you think about like even the newer? Because I was buying some GI Joes probably like about 5 years ago for the anniversary when they would come out, and like I bought a Storm Shadow, bro, and he came with like literally like 50 weapons, like Chinese stars, the whole.
yeah, everyone
nine,
loves
bro.
Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow.
Fuck. That was the dope shit back
But
then.
yeah, dude, I like all that shit. GI Joe was the toys were tight. The cartoons were cool because I liked the toys, but they're still kind of corny, especially at the end. Like, what is that shit at the end? Like
Oh,
the little.
the tip, little Great American. What is it? It's like you could. Damn.
Yeah,
I can't believe,
I don't know.
How do I not know this, bro?
It's like what is? I remember this one still from when I was a kid. It's like they're swimming in the lake and the lightning come out and shit. Oh, get out of the water! You know, go Joe or whatever the fuck. I forget what the saying was, but
Fuck. How did we not know it?
no, it's because you're high, dude.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it's like I'm from Oregon, motherfucker. We swim in the river and the lakes when there's fucking thundering out. We didn't give. My parents didn't kick us out of there.
It's like only you can fucking some shit like that. I'm trying to.
Only you can know.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Or knowing is half the battle.
That's it right
And
there.
knowing is half
There's
the battle.
motherfuckers listening to this, gonna listen to this later, be like, well, how do you not know that? They like knew it right away.
Because
Oh.
we're almost an hour deep in the podcast and I'm high as fuck.
I know, me too. Probably said a bunch of dumb shit already, but it's all
Nah, this is
good.
actually really, really good interview, bro. Real good
Oh, right on.
podcast. I definitely appreciate you coming on by, man.
Fucking super down for you, bro. Anytime.
Hell yeah. What I was gonna ask you something, and you're a concert head like me, man. I know you've been to some amazing shows. Can you tell me a couple of the shows? And I know you seen Tupac when you was
Yeah.
young.
Well, I see it was a breakup dancer for or backup dancer, and he was doing like backup vocals and shit and like ad libs for
He was
fucking,
first coming out with digital, huh?
Yeah, it was at the Roseland Theater in Portland. Yeah, dude, that show was fucking crazy. So like, I have very few shows I'd say like that are like epic as shit, and I didn't know who Tupac Owen was there, and I know everyone hates me for it. I'm not a huge fan to this day.
Well,
Whatever.
like you said, you're more of an underground, like, you know.
Yeah, but that show was crazy because after the show, it was so fucking hype, and it was like on the upper level. I think there was like 2 venues in that place, downstairs and one upstairs. Like the fucking floor collapsed after everyone left. Like a couple hours after, just collapsed. But it was crazy when I saw that show. Like, yeah, Tupac was in the back. They had these 2 chicks on stage, and like they didn't leave the stage. Whenever they did like gaps between the shows, because it was like that kind of show. You know, they go change their clothes and shit. And they never leave the stage. And at the end of that show, you know, they're throwing like out like big ass like bags full of fucking joints and fucking ounces of swag weed and shit, which was weird in Portland. Like it brought that shit up there. People were like, what the fuck is this shit? But those chicks, anyways, the point is those chicks didn't leave the stage. And at the end, fucking they're out there like, oh, da, da, and then they like go down to like eat each other out. But then she grabs these pearls, and you can tell them they're just coming out of her fucking either her pussy or out of her panties, whatever, wherever the fuck they're coming out of. They're out there on the stage just the whole time. So it's just like extra nasty that fool's so perverted that he had that part of his show, or these chicks were pulling out these
Or,
shits
you know,
out of the
I was going to
fucking-
say, Shock G's a freak, R.I.P.
all those
He
fools are
was-
freaky, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
What was that movie that they did?
for the video?
No, it was like an actual movie with Humpty in it and shit. Is it not Better Off Dead? It's something else. That dude has the dick nose. The dude that owns that house. You don't know what movie I'm talking about? Oh man,
I don't.
my homie Quote would know. That's like one of his favorite movies. But yeah, if you're hearing this, look up Humpty in a movie with a villain with a dick nose. It's a fucking good ass movie.
That's fucking hilarious, bro.
Yeah, but the whole group's in that shit, and it's they like get trapped in this junkyard, like fucking freaky deaky house and shit. It's crazy. It's a good fucking movie. Can't remember what that shit's called. I want to say Better Off Dead, but that's that one where that dude's like,
I
I
want to say
want my $5 or my $2, and he's chasing around and shit.
I'm gonna have to. I don't want to Google it the way you told me to Google it when I get home, but I'm gonna have to.
I'll
see.
ask Quote. I'll hit that full up, and he'll know. I'll let you know. I'll send you. It's the last time I watched it was on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
So
Hey, talk about your shit going on right now, man. You got a tattoo studio, you know what I mean? You got an art studio, always designing.
I don't want to
shit.
call it a tattoo studio because I'm going through that. Like, I don't know, man. So just a little where I'm at with all that is like, I still, I love tattooing. I'm going to do it forever, but I wouldn't call it a tattoo studio. I'd call it an art studio where I tattoo out of here and there to pay the bills and shit, and because I like to tattoo. But so I have like a small gallery, and then in that gallery have a few studios. I actually rent out a studio to the homie Ketter, the homie Suave, the homie Quote, myself, and then my cousin's in there. He does like drafting and stuff. He's kind of the financial dude.
Right.
Thanks, cousin. But yeah, so we kind of what I'm trying to do over there is I'm opening a store that's invite only. I'm gonna have. I just want a place where like people that are trying to like, say if you're an MC, you can come over, and hopefully I can turn you on to some shit on how to market yourself. At the same time, help you with like an album cover, business card and shit, shirts. And at the same time, I want to be a place where people that are trying to get into that sort of thing, where they can come, hopefully spend a little money, and then learn about it.
Right.
That's kind of my ultimate goal at that place. And I'm starting a toy company too, so like the main thing about it is like my main goal as a collective over there is to have a place where you have your studio. So whatever you're creating in your studio, you have a gallery so you can, display your work, and then like
Place to create and display.
Yep, and a store where we can sell our shit too and our merch. That's kind of the goal, to have a studio with a gallery with a store and all the shit to do everything.
You guys already had a couple art shows, right?
Yeah, we've done two. The first show was
The puzzle.
it was a autism awareness show that the homie Coda and his wife put on for their daughter who has autism, and raised some money for that. And the second one was because I rented out for like, depending on the event, but usually about $250 for a pop-up night, and I help you do like a flyer and all this shit. So if you're interested, hit me up on Instagram on Fuzzy Monster, and we could talk if you want to do a pop-up. But I'm pretty limited on who I'll let go in there. As long as you're motivated and you're being innovative and you're doing some shit, and you take it serious, I'll, give you the venue, and it's small and it's cheap to do, just to give people those opportunities that I wish I had when I was first getting into like graphic design and graffiti.
Right.
And
Just kind of helping them out. Shit.
Yep, help you, help while you help me, kind of thing,
me.
and then help everybody. And it's like just trying to have a place that has some kind of collective love, and there's not all that fucking ego and everyone talking shit about each other and all that bullshit, which, we all talk our shit, but it's mainly I'm just trying to create a place that has, creates opportunity for myself, my friends, and people involved in the studio, and people outside the studio if they want to come check it out, and just kind of give you all the information we have and shit, So that's kind of what we're doing over there. Just like, yeah, it's a gallery and a store with studios, and fucking, everyone's welcome and shit, trying to figure all that out, Just trying to create a place that's fucking, I can, like I said, do my thing and then fucking sell my shit, at the same time as learning about like marketing and all that. And I'm pretty open to all that shit too, and would like to learn some shit from people too if they want to come around and hang out,
For sure, man. Shit.
Fuck.
Hell yeah. Well, shit, man. You got any kind of final thoughts? Any shout outs? Any?
Nah, man. Just mad love to all the homies and shit, the crews. Fucking TKO killing it right now. That's dope. Like seeing everyone get put on and shit and do shit, man. So I don't know. Just Denver's dope right now. I like Denver.
Yeah, for real. A lot of shit happening.
Yep.
Before we leave, any advice you give out to the young writers out there?
Fucking
Besides the obvious, learn history.
Yeah, I was gonna learn your fucking history. No, I'm just kidding. Fucking just keep
Keep pushing.
doing your shit, be creative, do fuck what people really say, unless if they're not helping you out, fuck them. You know what I mean? Just kind of do your shit. You know, that's about it.
But don't be afraid to take advice either. A lot of cats are hard-headed nowadays.
Yeah, but see, on that, I would just say, just from the get, if you're hard-headed and you don't want to take advice, well, good luck with your progression and shit, you know? You don't learn when you're talking, you know? Yeah. And, you know, that goes for myself, too. I'm not just saying.
Yeah, we ain't ever too old to learn, like we said earlier.
The moment you stop trying to learn or getting rid of your ego or even thinking you know everything, that's when you stop learning. So
exactly, bro.
So sometimes,
words to pay attention to.
I can't say much shit about, you know, I still battle with my own ego and shit, you know. Probably a lot less than a lot of motherfuckers, but especially people that preach on that shit too, and then they got the hugest ego. That's fucking crazy. But yeah, man, just know your history and ask questions, and just know you don't know shit, and you're never gonna know everything.
Exactly.
You know? So
message. All right, bro. Like I said, we appreciate you once again. Tusk One, you know, in the building. Shit.
Tusk 36.
You know what I'm saying?
There's other Tusks out there, and I know about you guys.
You better watch out. Don't let me come to your city.
There's one that's good.
All right. Well, like, check it out. There you have it. You know what I mean? Another episode in the books. You can catch us on all platforms. Shit. Check out Be Good. Check out your boy Joe Thunder. Tusk One, Fuzzy Monster.
Fuzzy Monster 36.
Yeah, some dope ass digital. Like, he can do some shit for you. Like, and you want some next level shit, hit him up.
I am for hire. For a small fee.
All right, we are out of here. Peace.